Start off with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a quorum, we are missing one member, but we have a quorum, so make a motion to open the meeting.
Okay.
All those in favor? 3, 4. This portion of the meeting, normally we start with public comment. We basically open the public to have them bring forward any concerns that aren't on the agenda. Probably won't be acted on today, but we will hear them and then try to schedule them at a later date. Eric?
My name is Sarah Langet, and I am a member of the school board here in town. Very few things have come to my attention over the last week. One of them is related to the pre-K program in Belgrade Central. At the last school board meeting in March 19, Wednesday, March 19th, the superintendent expressed that at that point, there were little amount of applications for pre-K programs. He cited few towns, there's only 4 towns that had that program: Sydney, Oakland, Belgrade, and China. And he specifically was concerned about the Belgrade enrollment. In my mind, through the meeting, I didn't dig into it. He went to the point to mention that there was only 2 applications in Belgrade, and if the program was too low, that might mean closure. Myself and the other school board member, Sharon Frost, we heard the same thing. In my mind, I dismiss it because we're so early in the season. I mean, next school year don't start till September, and their parents are in the race in August. So, I didn't give too much mind to it, but since that meeting to here, that become a snowball, so to speak. A lot of people have been calling me about this, the truthness of this opportunity or this chance that the program might close. And so far, I just wanna call everybody to cool their guts and be calm. We're gonna be re-talking this tomorrow. I spoke with Sharon Frost about this yesterday, and we involved the director from Rome, because both schools, both stream of kids, families go to Belgrade Central, Rome and Belgrade, or to Belgrade Central. So I think things are looking more optimistic and initially thought, so to speak. And hopefully we'll get better answers tomorrow at the meeting. That's one item for school board. Second item for school board, I think probably 3-4 meetings ago here, select board, I forward that there was positive reception at the ISU administration to disclose or disperse the 4% above the 5% of money that is in the forward balance fund, the so-called unassigned monies or rainy fund that the ISU has. Right now, that fund is almost capped at 9. The law as it is for this coming summer says that it's gonna go from 9 to 5, so that 4% above the 5, the superintendent decided and is positive of placing it towards the budget over the next 3 years, right? That was December talk. Now, all of a sudden, I would say 2 weeks ago or so, there has been a bill in the State House that is keeping that to 9%. So it's not going to 5, it's going to 9. That doesn't mean that it's gonna prevail, because that requires public testimony, and guess who's gonna be in the State House talking about that? So that said, I just want you, I would make you aware of that. And then in late discussions about this whole thing, about the 9% and so on, the RSU does not have an audit report yet. It just came in like fresh, like maybe this morning. And according to discussions on that March 10th, 19th meeting as well, it was said that anything above the 9%, our towns already voted two PAC meetings ago on Article 19. That's the PAC meeting of May 2023. Voted to authorize the board to use the money above the 9% and grab it and put it in an emergency contingency fund. I'm gonna repeat that. That article instituted a bucket, an empty bucket called emergency contingency fund. So it is for emergencies. So this fund came out in the dialogue because the superintendent has suggested to pay his new created position starting July out of that fund. And I contested that, not only because of the article, the way it was set, but the fact that we have a state law that says that anything above the 9% is supposed to be dispersed towards forward budgets and allow the towns to pay less money in property taxes. So that said, we have a little contentious meeting about that, and we requested opinion of the lawyers. The lawyers have come back with the answer, and the answer is that we can do either of 3 things. First off, presently, that emergency contingency fund, that bucket is empty, has no money in it. The first thing that has to happen is that the school board has to vote to have that 9% that is above, that excess of the 9%, grab it and put it over there. That's the first vote. The second vote will have to grab from that money and pay the next year interim assistant superintendent. So as it is, my position is that it's not correct to use that money to pay for an administrative position. And that's gonna be dialogue. And I'm sure that that's gonna run, the news are gonna run to the towns, and there's gonna be another arising about that, but we'll see how it turns out. So I wanna make sure that specifically you guys understand the terms of the monies that now in the audit is gonna be above 9%. We have one of 3 options. Put it all in the continuous emergency contingency fund, which in reflection over the last 2 weeks with everything that is happening in the national news, it might not be a bad idea. Different from what we had previously decided in December, not knowing how January to March was gonna turn out in DC. It might be that it's a good idea just to leave that money there because we don't know what's gonna happen with the federal aid to the schools. So we had a lot to dialogue tomorrow at the school meeting. So I just want you to make you aware that the board has 3 options: putting all that money in that contingency emergency fund that is for emergencies, not for administrative positions. We can disperse it back towards forward budgets for so it will put down the town's property taxes, or we can do a mix of both things. Now, that's the word of the lawyers. So I thought I'd just let you know that. And then also in this climate that we have presently with this transition in the RSU and the climate that's going from Congress and even our own state, on different things with funding. I will encourage this group to call up for a governance of towns meeting. Meaning that from here, there will be an initiative to contact the RSU and say, listen, we would like to have you present the budget to all the towns together, all the selectmen of the towns together. It's very important at this time that the towns come together to merge into their needs and how things are going and have a very amicable and understanding a view of the funding needs, because what might be coming is not gonna be good for any of us. So I'm not sure that I'm projecting an apocalypse, but my idea is that we are prepared as a district to sustain and be able to uphold the education of the kids without hiccups and without finger pointing or anything of that. If we sit at the same table and we dialogue, I think we're gonna come out to the other side in a very good fashion. Thank you. Oh, by the way, tomorrow we have a meeting at 5 with finance committee meeting, and one at 6. You guys are welcome to attend.
Have you reached out, Sarah, to our new school board member? To replace-
I congratulate him and I offer help, but he doesn't start till July. So Sharon Frost is gonna be on board till July. Do you know how the state house work is?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe she will decide to pull out, and that will be her call, and then have him start
Well, I
early.
just wondered if you reach out to him, he may want to start doing more with at least the attendance of the meetings now, so while he's up to speed.
We suggested that to him.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. While we're on the subject of pre-K, that is on the agenda under new business. And there is one person who's here wants to speak to that issue. So I'm wondering, while Sarah's here, if we could move that further up on the agenda.
I don't, does anyone have any objections?
I have no objection.
Yeah, but I mean, we have our school board member here, so sometimes it's easier to ask some of the questions that we may not be able to answer, so. So take a motion to open that agenda item.
Some of
So move, second.
All those in favor? Four. Okay.
Do you need me to go up and just
Uh,
start speaking?
yeah, state your name for the recording and,
Sure. I'm Lauren Smith. I recently moved to the area, formerly Lauren Blake, so I played sports with your daughters growing up, but I am very concerned, and that's the reason why I came today about the pre-K program going away. I know Sarah just mentioned that it isn't something we should be concerned about, but just rumors within the area have me nervous that we're going to have to find an alternative plan for the kids of Belgrade who are interested in getting early childhood education. I mentioned in an email to you earlier today, while I had my 3-year-old and 1-year-old crawling all over me, how difficult of a position this puts not only our kids, but also the parents in. And also the area. We just moved to the area, we just bought a house, and as we're looking at this decision to keep the pre-K program open or closed, I feel like I should be talking to all of you here. It's just a little concerning where I feel like the property value might actually decrease because there's no pre-K program, so there's less interest in people wanting to be in Belgrade, where there's less opportunities for young families to thrive and have their children in a program that's going to support their development overall. So I expressed a few concerns in an email that I sent earlier tonight, which I will forward to you and some of the other members of the school board. I'll also plan on attending tomorrow's meeting. But I felt that it was an important thing for me to come and speak to you today to actually show you that there's a person behind the email. And I know there wasn't a lot of time for people to really raise their voice on this matter because a lot of us just became aware of it as we're dropping off our applications. So I wanted to make sure at least one person that was available tonight could come out. So hopefully more people find out about the issue and are willing to raise their voice. But for now, Apparently I'm the only one here. And you, Sarah. Thank you.
I'll speak as well quickly. Kristen McDowell, rec director. I spoke with Lorna earlier. We took 7 phone calls on this situation today down at the rec center. Parents who were concerned, obviously, you know, it's similar issues. There's a need in the area, clearly. Same with our summer camp program. It fills and it goes to a wait list. So we know that there's a need in this community. Parents were in panic mode, Sarah. So it's nice to hear you say we shouldn't panic yet. The information that was brought to us at the rec center came directly from the school. So the preschool teacher herself had shared that, it was new information to her as well. It was kind of dropped fairly quickly. Parents, if you're keeping notes, were concerned about, you know, you're asking for a full packet to be returned in less than 2 weeks, and we can't even get a hold of our pediatrician in time to get immunization records in our hand, because the new state law says they can't be emailed and they can't be mailed, so you need an in-person visit. My guess is we'll get more phone calls before the end of the day. We did send out an email to after-school parents. We've been speaking with them about it. We encouraged them, Lauren included, to email you and to voice their concerns, and to share with the school board. So I think it's important when you bring it back, Sarah, or anybody here, that it's communicated with us as well, because we do see a lot of those families. And it is a much shorter deadline and a much earlier deadline than has ever been proposed in the past. Typically, it's like a end of May, June 1st, and then you know, that's it. Like, here's the paperwork now, and you have until then to get it in, and this is literally a 2-week window. It's really less than 2 weeks ago for parents, so.
My youngest daughter feels the same way you do right now, because she's got one that's supposed to start preschool.
Yeah.
This fall.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. So keep us informed, Sarah.
Is it too early for you guys to possibly draw up a letter to send to the school board? Voicing your guys as a board's opinion about this? I mean, you know, the other thing is this town contributes the most money to that school district, and they're gonna cut our pre-K. I mean, I know a child, and I will let the parent know, because they probably don't even know yet that it's gonna be in pre-K this year, so I'll let that family know tonight.
No, that was one of the things I had basically as part of this agenda item that I wanted us to do as a select board, as a town, to communicate that to the school superintendent's office, so.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to the finance committee meeting and to the school board meeting tomorrow evening. And what Sarah said is that the finance committee may deal with the preschool issue because it's part of the budget, so.
Yep.
I'll be there, but it seems, I don't know.
I got some work feedback that at least between turn-ins and packets are out there 17.
17 packets out for Belgrade.
They have already about, I think, anything between 2 and 4 turn-in. One is missing the immunization records. We're talking about that here. So about 5 are already almost in, and the other 12 are packets are out. Families went into the school and grabbed it. So everybody seems to be in panic mode, and it's really disheartening for me, because this is not supposed to be happening at this point. I don't know why this was triggered like that. I don't understand the reasons for it. At the moment, on the 20th, when this was said, I had already planned a trip out of the area for the 22nd, and I was gonna be all out till basically this past Saturday. So I didn't give any color to it, because sometimes you give color to words and they kind of get out of context. But by the time I was out and being out of the area in Puerto Rico, I got 2 phone calls down there, people panicking, literally. And so, oh my God, you know, I thought he just was putting this out there as a possibility that was not gonna happen, but apparently it is happening, because I didn't talk to anybody in town after that meeting. So somebody in that meeting ended up talking to the school about this. And the school got wrong information about the concept that it might close. So I know all this seems to be more word information than a real statement. But the fact of the matter is that it started March 19th in that meeting, and it came from the superintendent's mouth himself. So. Go ahead.
And so just so I understand the timeline here, the applications usually you said aren't due until sometime in May.
Yeah,
And they were just available, as of the 1st of April,
they were.
today, yesterday or today.
Basically, basically they put an announcement in the internet on the 24th of March.
Oh, 24th of March, okay.
Okay, that's an announcement.
They were due
okay?
on April 14th, because
And-
that's the date we have on the poster is April
So,
14th.
so they had less than 2-3 weeks to do this, and it's kind of unreasonable altogether. But we will dialogue this tomorrow, and I'm sure we're gonna be on with the information that I have, maybe we're gonna be on the payroll side, because the total roster should be something in the close area of 32 kids. 16 in the morning, 16 in the afternoon. And at least we have one full class. And I heard from Levine that if the teacher that does this have to do halftime, she will do halftime. There's no problem with it. So there are alternatives. It's a matter of understanding what is the blocking here. I don't get it. We'll figure it out.
And so who was it who told the school, the Belgrade school or the preschool teacher that the program might be cut? Somebody from the central office or the superintendent himself?
I'm not sure. I know that
Or
in
is
that
this-
meeting on the 19th, the superintendent vocalized that. Interestingly, it's not in the minutes. But Director Frost and myself, we heard the same thing, and Director Soifer from China as well. Because I said, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I didn't hear it well. So I talked to Director Frost and said, yeah, that's exactly what I heard. So how we end up from that meeting to the central school, I'm not sure, but it made its way down there somehow.
Okay, but it's still sort of in the rumor stage because there's no
I
official.
wanna kick it into the rumor state.
Okay,
And I will plead with the families, please not to panic. I think we're gonna be able to have time to midsummer to wrap all this up. I mean, we're all working and doing busy lives, and especially in the spring, where this is really got us all guard altogether. So.
Did you get a follow-up from Dylan Clark?
Not yet.
Okay, because I would like to think it's a rumor too, but the actual official flyer that we posted came from him with a date on it of April 14th, so somebody communicated that.
I asked him, about it, why the quick turnaround, how many children they usually have, and what the minimum number was to keep the program in Belgrade. He didn't address all of my questions. He simply said that 32 was the number. He didn't tell me what they had last year, what we needed for a minimum. He said he only had 2 enrollments so far, but that a lot of people had taken out packets late last week. I sent him an email again to ask him how those were coming. And again, what the minimum was, and if we were going to be able to keep this in Belgrade. I said, it's the rumor mill, I'm trying to get some information, he has not responded yet, so. That was earlier today, yeah, trying to nail him down.
So we also don't know what the other towns have for possible enrollment for classes.
I heard today that Sydney had 23 and Belgrade had 11, that Sydney does not have room for Belgrade and Sydney combined, but that Belgrade does. So there's been rumor that if we did not have enough children, that our children would be bused to Sydney. But it's my understanding that Sydney doesn't have the room, so Sydney could be bused to Belgrade because we have room. I don't know, it's all rumor. I don't have anything nailed down from the principals, so those are the rumors that we're hearing.
Okay, well, it just seems like if we're there tomorrow night to address this,
Yeah.
at the finance
That would
meeting
be
and then
good,
also
yeah.
at the full board meeting, that at least the questions could be raised and, maybe we'll get some definitive answers.
Well, and especially if there is the demand in Oakland and Sydney, if we're pushing Belgrade students to those locations, it's gonna fully just dilute the program itself, because there's not gonna be enough teachers to be able to handle that volume of students. So I think that solution of having some sort of middle ground where you can have some of the overflow from Oakland or Sydney
It
coming.
really will be a total disruption, operational wise, because if this program closed down, this is the grassroots of the school. So that means to me that then the school will close. And that's the last thing, once you close a program, getting it back up is very difficult. So, from what I'm concerned, we're in good shape. I heard the number 17 today, said we got one class, forget about it. I don't wanna put too much stress into it. We should seal this out. So, we'll see what happens. Again, I plead with the community and with the families to stay calm. We're gonna work on this tomorrow. You're very welcome.
So do we wanna hold off on a letter, or you wanna start working on drafting a letter for us?
I think it might make sense to wait until after the meeting tomorrow to draft a letter. What do you think, Sarah?
I think it would be probably a good idea to send a letter, because it had been a bursting concern from this community over the last 2 weeks. I mean, I was in Puerto Rico getting phone calls about it.
Yeah, say, if we don't send a
Yeah.
letter,
Yeah,
the
Right.
closing meeting before our next meeting.
right, okay.
Yeah.
The package is supposed to be in, so.
Yeah. I would think we should send a letter and say grave concern to
Yes,
us,
it's come to our attention, this has been a quick turnaround.
quick turnaround and,
You know. And you can even say, that the room bill's going around, and we as a select board are concerned
concern,
this program is gonna close, and we do not want it to close, considering we pay the most
right,
taxes towards the school,
right. Right,
so.
so that's something really we should get done tomorrow. And
It'd
get
be
on,
nice to have it with,
And email it off to,
Or
Yeah.
in the morning, yeah.
email it off to the superintendent and the
Superintendent,
chair.
the chair, the vice chair, chair and myself,
yeah,
and
CCR
possibly,
members.
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
And Matt,
Back, though.
yeah.
Oh, he's got a,
Okay, I move we send a letter as discussed.
Second.
all those in favor? Or, one absent.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Alright. Now we will switch back to the review and approval of minutes of March 18th.
I have a question before we get too much
Yeah.
further. Do we know who iPhone 2 is?
No, I've sent a request and they haven't responded. iPhone 2, could you identify yourself so that we could put that in the minutes, please?
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sarah. iPhone 2, can you unmute yourself and let us know who you are for the minutes, please?
Martha Blackburn.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Motion to open the discussion of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Open for discussion.
Oh, I know that Lauren fixed this on page 2, the information that we got from Dwight Dowdy. He says the root numbers 1127 and 133, and it should be 135, so, but that came from him, so. So thinking of 133 in another town.
I used to live on 133.
I didn't really see anything, so
Doesn't matter what time to me.
Discussion?
I move we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Next is unfinished business, water district, well, emanation, options, discussion and questions. Lauren?
So at your last meeting, you had Dwight Dowdy here to explain and talk about the different options listed A, B, and C. He mentioned that he would like to have some sort of a decision from the board by May, early May. So the board did request that we have this on both meetings this month. And that you all would think about some of the questions you might like answered. So that we could get that information and put this on the agenda again for your April 15 meeting, so you could discuss, come to some sort of a decision, and then you can get that to Dwight. He actually did email me this afternoon. I wanted to know if you all had made any sort of decision yet. So I gave him an update and yeah, so he's anxiously awaiting.
Really, the only question that I've got is gonna have to do with if it's option B, who ends up with the property? Right, I don't.
Who ends up what?
Who ends up with the property, if we're paying half of the
Right.
property, they're paying half of the property. I don't wanna be back in a situation where basically we own half a piece of property and
With the state.
with the state,
With the state.
so, depending on how that outcome comes, we're gonna have to find somebody we can talk to find out what the outcome of that is, who owns it after.
I would assume Dwight would know that or would be able to take that.
He didn't-
answer.
he didn't.
He didn't want to answer
He didn't
that.
want to answer it, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have to track down and either go through their legal or something, because
Okay.
at this point, if we're gonna own half the property, I kind of like our option C.
Well, and a question I have is, I think we need to look at, if we're going to option B or C, it is a substantial saving of money to the state. That we see if we can negotiate a 60-40 or 20-70-30, do a better split with them. Because of the significant amount of money we're saving the state. Because, we then would have to look and see how are we gonna fund this? And whether that is the state, we pay the state, or, there have to be we have to look at funding, how do we fund either one of them? And then the other question I have is, we've talked about purchasing these 5 homes, if that's the one, has anyone? I mean, are we talking about it and the landowners don't know that we're talking about it?
I don't.
If I were one of those 5 properties, like, did you hear at the meeting the other night and no one has yet brought that as a suggestion, and maybe there has been that conversation, that's a question I have, is what has been the conversation with the folks that in option B, we would,
I'm not sure if they've had a conversation recently, they had it before the last time, before we
Right,
decided to go with the water district.
Right.
And that's why they couldn't
Right.
make a decision, because of the values and everything else.
Right.
so I guess my question is it appropriate to? At what point is it appropriate? Because I feel very awkward talking about either purchasing or building onto someone's home, and those people don't know that it's a topic of discussion that's being undertaken by the select board. That how do we do that, or do we need to have a meeting with her? I don't know what it is, but I feel a little awkward if one of
Find out
those
if the
folks
state has
came to
actually
me
talked to
and said, oh, I hear last night you were talking. So,
Sounds like at least one of them discussed it in Pinkham's Cove. Because they already have been in discussion with Hans about
But
building.
That's a whole different
That's
situation.
a whole different
That's-
thing.
Then
Other than
this
that.
this is the one.
This is the triangle up here.
Yeah.
That has to do with us.
So, Lorna, do you know how much we have in that capital reserve?
It's under 4, I believe.
And Pinkham's Cove's gonna cost us like, our split's gonna be like 30. But do I remember that number right? Or is it 60 as split?
That's gonna be a separate building, they said.
Yeah, that's a property down there that they're actually.
Right, so
putting a
I was
separate-
thinking 125. Am I thinking wrong?
Oh, the total project and half of it's us.
Pickham's Cove?
Yeah,
Cause I think it was 130, so it may be 60 is ours and 60 is theirs.
I don't have that on this list of accounts in front of me.
so,
If memory serves, I want to say it was under 4
yeah,
Right.
in that account.
so we only have 300 to. Don't play with, but, you know, I'll leave it at that, 300,000. So I guess one of the questions I would have for the state is the state, if we do go this route, will the state finance us, or do we have to go with bond for our portion of it?
Well, are they going to fund it and let us pay them back over time? Because
Correct.
we just had town meeting, we've just done our budget, and now this comes up.
Right.
So,
Well, and the other thing is that's a big hit for us at once. It'd be nice if we could finance it out, you know, through the state interest free.
Dan, the one thing that's not in this equation is, the ongoing, what would be the ongoing cost to maintain the water system? And I know that we were talking that it would be $30,000 a year. But it just seems like that is part of the consideration. You
For
know,
option A.
for option A,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if we're really gonna give any serious consideration to option
And
A.
that 30,000 a year was 2 years ago.
I know.
You know, it's probably
Yeah.
40,000 a year.
Yeah. You know, because you take like a meter horns, you know, the meters have to be calibrated. Backflows have to, you know, and there's a lot of work that has to be done with the, you know, water district that you have. So, yeah, you're looking anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a year. And of course, that's gonna increase, and as your pipes get older, going into these, you know, properties, it's gonna cost. And every time you do road construction, you've got another expense. Every time they pave, you know, everyone in curb shut offs, all that stuff has to be all redone, and
Right.
so,
Well,
so you do have,
and we're responsible for repairs and maintenance.
correct.
So if something explodes and we have $100,000 bill, we've got to have a contingency fund for it, so we can't spend all of our, you know, I
That's
think,
why I like the other two options.
Right, BSC.
They started to
the
come
best
up
option.
with.
right,
Me is gonna all depend on what
Right.
we're gonna get stuck with for
Right.
partnership with the state.
Right, but it just seems to me that people might ask,
Oh, yeah.
why should the town pay, you know, pay $1 million, when the state could do it all and we'd only have to pay X per year? I mean, it
Right.
just seems like, that needs to be part of the
it
consideration.
needs to be, absolutely.
And looking at B and C, which I think we all kind of in agreement, one of those is a better option for us. Are we gonna do anything, with future building permits in that circle where? So you're not gonna have a water system, you're gonna be treating individual houses or you buy the property. I would think any future permit in a certain radius should stipulate, you know, if you have bad water, the system's on you.
Problem is.
Yes.
Right, what happens is if another house that isn't even part of this, turns out they end up with bad water. And it's because of this same situation. We end up splitting the bill with the state.
So can you deny building permits?
I don't think so, because if you own the land, you legally, you. Can anticipate you can use it for what you're gonna use it for.
You'd have to go back in a minute, because I questioned this
Yeah,
before
which-
that development started
Right.
having houses built on.
Well, I'm just wondering, future, you know, you could be
Yeah.
potentially
Yeah,
adding a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah, this is gonna be a problem, because you got that 52 acres or 56 acres for sale down here in 27, it's a gravel pad. All that land is contaminated with salt. So if they happen to decide to kind of flatten that off and put a housing development in there, we're gonna be in the same boat again. That's something that we need to keep in the back of our heads, if they do that and turn that into housing development. I mean, granted, that aquifer is right there where the good water is, but it's a
So then you're back to option A might be cheaper in the long run if you're gonna add 100
No,
houses.
Well, no,
that system won't handle all, any
Right.
one way
Take care
will
of it.
handle,
Designed to handle.
because it's just one well.
yeah, then there,
Is that property something that the town can buy? The 36 acres?
But 56 it could, but it's $1.3 million.
yeah, and then, and again, if we start buying. You know, it's bad enough if we had bought, do option B and we start buying properties here. And then the next year we buying our properties here, and then the next year we're buying properties here. It's almost easier, because what I like about option C is. You put in the bump outs or the pump houses or whatever they are. You do what you're gonna do in the house, they sign off on it,
And you
and
set them up.
it's theirs, they
It's
own
done.
it.
And
it's
you,
done.
and you give them an account, an escrow account
That
to
is the
start
better option.
the increase in
That's up to them.
That's up to
what they
them.
do with it, but they get an,
Yeah.
compensation in the.
They get compensation,
They have a
but
settlement.
it's up to them to
Right.
maintain everything.
Yep.
So yes, you know. Right now, I'm leaning towards C, but I want all the questions answered.
Right,
Can we, from the Rural Water Association or whatever they are, could we get a more current estimate of ongoing costs to maintain the system? I just feel like that's an important piece to have as part of the discussion. Especially
I'm sure we would.
if we're talking about the possibility
we
of.
go back and look, there was a person who we were dealing with a couple of years ago, I don't know, I'm sure it's in the minutes somewhere.
But I mean, you might even wanna ask them. Yeah, talk to them about these options, I mean. You know, that's what they deal with water.
Right,
Which
right.
would you-
I mean,
which
we're not-
which do you think is the better option for us, you know?
right, we
Put
don't
in
have
a
to
water
reinvent the
system,
wheel
do we
here, we're
have to
not the
deal with,
first,
or-
we're not the first town that's ever had to deal with
Right.
this, I'm sure.
And I think he did say, the other day that he had been dealing with C. In a couple other towns that went
Yeah.
that route.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and that's a new option that we didn't have 2 years ago.
We didn't have either one of them,
Well, we had the other one, we could buy properties, we went to people and it just wasn't feasible.
the number, the price wasn't
Yeah.
right, so.
See, the problem is when you buy the property. They can also say, no, you know, yes, you can buy the property, but I want a. Equal value property to be able
Right,
to have my
right,
house on or whatever too, so it's just. It didn't work, we tried.
I mean, I think the only way you'd end up getting them properties is you'd have to, I don't even know how the state would do it, but I'm assuming they do like a fair market value and probably take it by ultimate domain.
Probably,
well, you have to pay over fair market value to do it, and it sounds like the numbers they're looking at are not. That they're using in this example are not what fair market value is of those homes.
I don't know, I mean, most of them are
They said
modular
three.
homes.
Yeah, so.
Right,
yeah,
but they're talking 300,000 apiece.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean,
most modular homes that values.
once they get to a certain age, they depreciate
Right,
heavily.
Yeah.
well,
It's
that's
the
my
properties, the property itself, the land is probably worth more than the house it's sitting on.
right,
It's the same thing down in Florida, or the house I bought down there, you know, you can buy a double wide modular constructed home. For
Right.
anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000.
Right.
You know, it's 15 years old,
right.
you know, it's depreciated down to that, so.
So what other questions do we have that we would need to, because it sounds like we need to make a decision at the next meeting.
Yeah, we need to. do
Well, do
something.
we need to have a meeting with some people from the water, you know, one meeting, we had a couple of attorneys. One night we met and the attorneys, I think, zoomed in, but we had some folks that
DOT.
know the answers that Dwight said, you know, I'm a hydrogeologist, I'm not a.
Right.
I mean, we need to get some of those pieces answered, and is it
If you're gonna-
appropriate to do it in a meeting or a workshop?
If you're gonna have their attorneys, you wanna make sure Bill is present at that meeting too.
Well, and the other piece is, the state also has a vested interest on making sure they look out for their interest.
Right, we gotta make sure we.
So
look
to
out
say
for
to the state, gee, which one would you do? The state's interest may not be the same as our interest.
They're interested in C, I can guarantee you that.
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
So-
absolutely, now that they're doing that one down, Pinkerton's Cove and stuff, but absolutely.
Yeah.
Guarantee
Right,
that's-
which then goes to Carol's comment of, can we get a better split if the state is now coming out, less than.
But knowing the state, I can almost guarantee you, I can answer that, but we can try.
Well, Dwight talked about, all the behind the scenes costs, that you don't really see, so.
So anyway, we've got a list of questions, people that we try to get a hold of, see if we can
Yeah.
get some answers. If we can find somebody that wants to come in and talk to us, either from the water.
Water district or rural water.
Water, whatever.
Rural water?
something or other.
It was something of rural water.
The other thing, the other question needs to be probably asked, if you're gonna go, thinking about still rolling the dice on option A, is need to contact some water districts around, see if they're willing to take Belgrade on.
If they're what?
Willing to take Belgrade on if we go option
Well,
A.
Maine Rural Water or whatever they were, was willing to do it back then, but again, it's been 2 years.
Right.
They was willing to find somebody, they don't handle
They don't
water
manage
districts.
Yeah, but they had somebody that they said that would,
Right.
they
did
could set
have-
to get it set up with. But I don't know if that's still available.
Yeah,
Well, and depending on what funding is how well funded is rural water and some of those programs currently in the current environment? I mean, there's still grants and so on for them to do their work.
yeah, and like I say, if you can't get any answers from them, then you gotta start contacting some of the, Augusta Water District, Winthrop Water District. Maine Water Works and kind of that, and see if any of them are interested in doing it. Two, if they are, what's their estimated cost? So you have, all your.
So you have numbers,
Yeah, so you have numbers, I'm not in favor for A, I'm in favor for B or C.
So if you need any help tracking any of that information down, just send out a yell.
All right, anything else on this item?
Yep.
Next one on unfinished business is 101 Main Street property. Legal review and options for consideration.
So, I asked Mary to put together a list of, vacant properties that the town actually owns, so in your packet, we do have, one parcel, 40 acres, that's wetland, another parcel, 12 acres of wetland, a 0.04 acre lot across the street, peninsula, that should be park. And then a 0.3 acre parcel, on the Hewlin Road. I did include minutes of February 4. There was some question on what the board may have decided, giving approval for any action or movement across that parcel, Hewlin and Main Street. And you can see that no motion was made to give any approval to use or utilize that lot. I also checked with first our insurance agent, MMA Marcus Ballou, to see what he would recommend or what his insight was allowing movement across the parcel. He basically did not want to touch it and asked us to contact our legal counsel. So following Marcus's comment, you'll see some information from Phil's office. Gives you a couple of different scenarios. Leasing, selling, having some sort of an agreement in place. I know there's been discussion about maybe just selling the parcel. I would probably say you would want to put that out to bid just to be fair.
I have a question. In the material from, is that from Phil? Is that that?
An attorney, a real estate attorney in his office.
In his office,
Yeah.
okay. Said it in closing, it says, the expenditure of public resources need to have a public purpose. Meaning the towns should generally not provide public resources without there being a broader public benefit. So I guess what he's saying there is, in order for the town to hold on to the property, there should be a public purpose to that.
Preparing a lease and allowing someone to utilize that property. He means that the course of action should be in the public interest, as in general decisions that result in the expenditure of public resources need to have a public purpose.
Right.
So,
So the town shouldn't put resources into something that's being used for a private individual.
right, yes. You want it to be something that is a broader public
For the
benefit.
public good.
I did, Mary, you and I looked to see if we could find a warrant article that gave authority for the board to sell a parcel if they wanted to go that route, but you and I could not find anything.
No, we couldn't find anything. And I will say that Jason did come in today and he did sign the after the fact driveway permit rejected. So he rejected the permit because he did not realize at the time it was an after the fact permit, and he rejected the permit itself. But there is nothing that says that the board has the authority to just sell the property.
Would have to be by the town, like through a town meeting.
Yes, we have to have legislative body approval.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did we end up with that piece of property? How do we acquire
It was a fire
Used to be
station.
a fire station there.
on a 16-foot piece of road?
Yeah. That's what 6-1 used to be, how 6-1 and 6-6.
How was there a building on 16 feet?
Oh.
I-
yeah, that's it. The building was looking like on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Narrow little,
Yeah,
narrow,
You had to
narrow.
climb over the hood to get in the truck.
yeah, you valley fit in there to get the truck.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, somehow the town acquired that piece of property.
Yeah, you know, the unfortunate person that probably could tell you that is Bill Pulsifer.
Cause I'd like to know how we acquired that piece of property.
You know, I've been,
We probably have the deed on that, and I can probably look that up for you.
I was just wondering if it was tax acquired property.
Not
Cause if it was
to-
tax acquired property, we could dispose of it, put it out to bid just like we do any other tax acquired property. We may have kept it and used it, but it doesn't mean that we have to keep it and use it if it was tax acquired property.
To my knowledge, it wasn't tax acquired property, but
Yeah.
I will look it up and get the information to Lorna.
Thank
Okay.
you, Ms.
And if not, then I mean. I say. During the school board June meeting, I say we. Put the question to the town if they wanna. Put it up to bid and sell it.
I think you have a deadline of April 10 if we're gonna do a secret ballot. Is that correct, Mary?
Yep, 60 days prior to the election or
You'd
the
want to do that
referendum.
because your next meeting would be April 15, so you'd miss the deadline.
What's the rest of the board think about this piece of property? I mean, 16 foot to nothing. It's,
you do get, when you get it really crowded downtown, you do get at least 3 parking spaces there. And I know that, in a perfect world, you would develop it that way, but you know what happens when you have events and everyone's parking. And so it does give you 3 more parking spaces in a crowded village.
but I don't think they're legal parking spaces,
Well,
especially the one. It's up the 16-foot area, it's right at the stop sign. I don't think you can legally park with it.
you can't legally park where you're parking on 27 by the Village Green, because it's not wide enough. I mean, Legal parking spaces are,
But what I'm saying is, if it's town-owned property, and we're allowing somebody to park there, and it's not a legal parking space, who's responsible if something happens? Somebody opens up a door and gets run over. We told you to park there.
Well, the other problem you got right now, who's responsible for, if something happens? Well, with construction going.
I mean, the cars are parked there now. They're
but
parked there now.
I
You know,
think
I own
today you
business
said,
right there.
the tape was down and the cones.
Phones have been moved, but
The cones have been moved and the tape down today.
So it's being used?
No, the tape is not down and the cones are still there. We just put the dumpster in there, as Carol said we could, and the guys are parking across the street from the other property across the street.
I would want to correct the record that I didn't say we could.
Okay,
And I don't have the
You-
authority, to give someone the authority, the board has to do that.
but you did say that we could move the cones and place the dumpster.
I didn't say that,
Oh,
because there weren't
Okay.
cones.
I just
I had
remember that,
offered
I
that,
guess.
that might be a solution that we could look at, but nothing was voted that we could. We had to wait and see what we were gonna find out from our attorney. Because.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood, but that's how I,
It's not authority to do that, would have to be a board decision.
Well, what does the rest of the board feel we should do?
I'll just return the property to what it was before.
That would solve the problem.
I think that's
Yes.
what the violation says, the letter, that it has to be returned.
Has to be returned to the way it was before.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can see the picture of how it was before. I sent Lorna a picture of the property, a Zoom aerial.
So if this was put to a vote by the people, would you be interested in buying the property if the people felt that that was what they wanted?
Yeah, I guess so. If the price, yeah, I don't want to feel like I'm overpaying for a piece of dirt, and it wasn't, and I never saw anybody come and maintain that property. Never. I think I was the one that was maintaining it. And it's really, if you look at the aerial, you'll see it's just dirt and grass.
It would have to go out to bid, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that go out to bid to anybody in the town that can have a right to purchase it?
It would go out to
Anybody.
bid, yes, but anybody would have the opportunity to submit a bid.
Okay, so is there a price to that bid, or is it just somebody
No.
comes in and offers you anything?
Well, we have to vote that we want to sell it, but if we want to sell it, I assume we would come up with what we would feel is a minimal acceptable bid.
You could put.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then anybody could bid on it.
Anybody could
Yeah.
bid on
That
it.
anyone could bid on.
Anybody in Belgrade or else?
Yeah,
They don't have to
Okay,
be,
well,
do they?
No.
no.
No, so anyone,
okay,
someone could buy it, make it their personal little parking lot.
They-
yeah,
So,
So,
I mean, I don't know that we're ready to come up with a warrant article tonight to meet the
Yeah, I
I
deadline.
mean, yeah, if we had to do it tonight, it is kind of.
I think it's too late to do it. for
Yeah, I mean, we
tonight,
could do, if we wanted to, we could do it for November. Right,
Right? Mary, there'll be a vote in November?
I think the state will have something. Unless the town has something else. The state doesn't have anything in June right now.
I think they've got some petitions that have come in and stuff that may end up on the ballot this fall. So,
so the state has to be involved in that too?
No.
No.
It's just when,
Okay.
we try to do it when there's already another election, so we don't pay for an extra.
Oh, okay. I get
another-
you. Okay.
So
Okay.
could Rob give us some idea of value? Is that
Should be.
maybe the next step is to have Rob?
Yeah.
Give us some idea. And then we know,
And we have an
What-
assessed value in our trio program for the assessed value.
I included the property
Oh.
tax card. For all of those.
oh, for all of them. It was hard to read on my phone.
Had to read this way.
Well, I was away, so I just had my phone, so it was really hard to.
Yeah, 26,
So it's,
23.
so the assessed value is 13.5.
Is what,
13.5 is last assessed in.
16.5?
13.
13.5.
13.5. Is that the, am I looking at the right number?
Yeah.
Are those updated?
Well, this is as of 2016.
2016 is the last date that he put those on, so we'd have to look into our program, which is an updated program on Trio.
So that it may be a little higher than that, Mary.
That's correct.
But we can get that and send that out to the board or put it in your packet.
Yeah, so
So I think we should get that
26,031.
updated, so we,
It's 13,500.
You're right, but that's on the property tax card. It is likely updated.
Yes, now I understand.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I had the right one, because the other one across from Peninsula Park is 3,800. And what is that land? Carol, you're probably familiar with that land.
what?
You're probably familiar with the land across from Peninsula Park.
It's
Right.
where our dry hydrant is.
Dry hydrant, so.
Well, it's dry hydrant is also where the access to the, old spillway and the old
Yeah.
dam is, so the front part of that is. Is, so. If the town needed to keep the front part of it, then what's the value of the back part of it when you don't have access to it?
Well, it's
Right.
0.04 of an acre.
On Manchester Road, I'm just trying to get some numbers down there.
Manchester Road, that's the town address.
That's the 10, right?
It's the third one, map 26, lot 015.
Yeah,
And it's just 0.04 of an acre.
Manchester Road.
Used to be the mail address here at town office.
Huh?
600 just to go to the old man's across the old town office. That's why it was wrong.
That's the owner, that's the town address.
Yeah,
See,
so I think we
let's,
need to
let's,
get,
let's talk to the assessor, because I don't understand why the 0.4 acres is worth, what was worth $3,800. 0.03 acres is worth 13,500. That doesn't make sense to me.
And the other one's on the water.
Yeah, you can say the map 26 lot 15 is water frontage.
On the stream.
Yeah.
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 Maybe we'll verify that.
Yeah, something doesn't seem right.
well, let's ask him to
Let's find
update
out.
these numbers and,
We probably have the updated version in our Trio.
but so that we have updated numbers for.
Maybe also check the other one across from her house.
Yeah,
See how that compares.
Yeah, because I mean, size wise, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference in
there's not a difference in size.
square footage. So, all right.
Okay, so at this point, the property has to be returned to
Right,
the way it was.
Right, that's all part of
right.
the
So we need,
code enforcement.
we don't need to vote on that.
That's nothing to do with us.
Oh,
no.
Code
Okay.
enforcement, so.
Yeah,
Okay, so we can do, find some updates and bring that back to us. Please do it. Great. Next item, changing the fiscal year timeline review.
So, the board had put this, out for the legislative body to weigh in on, and, that warrant article did pass. There was support to do that. MMA provides a packet of information for municipalities to guide, in the process of changing the fiscal year. So the memo portion has kind of a timeline, a draft, to give you some sense of what is needed to be done and when. So in the fall, you would prepare a 6-month bare bones budget. There would be no county payment factored in because the county payment is not due until the second half of the year. You would not do any funding of reserves or increases, no elections, no nothing. It's just a bare bones budget. So you, in theory, could take half of this year's budget and put that forward for the 6 months, January, June for 2026. Now, initially, we were kind of looking at the thought process, you would keep the town meeting in March, but speaking with Rob, who was in Monday, said that he's done a lot of towns, worked through these fiscal year changes, and it's his experience that you should call a special town meeting for that 6-month budget in January.
Right.
You would use the values, what he'll have as of April 1, which is the cutoff for everything each year for him as an assessor. So you would use those values. We talked about putting forth basically half of this year's budget as that January, June, 6 months. And then you would have a town meeting in June to put forth the annual budget, 12 months, which would be July 1, June 30. It would take you into 2027. Speaking with MMA Legal, they did clarify a little bit because I wanted to know what sort of audit and town report requirements there were. So if you're going to do an annual report, it must be compiled for the last fiscal year. So the annual report, whether you did it in January or June, it would be for the fiscal year 2025, because that would be the
Right.
last completed fiscal year. So if you hold a special town meeting in January for that 6-month budget, you would want the audit for 2025. When you hold the town meeting in June for the 12-month budget that would follow, you wouldn't have another town report because you don't have a fiscal year completed yet. Does that make sense?
No,
Right. But
not really.
Yeah,
Because,
Because you've already done a town report for 2025.
right.
So you don't,
You've
the
got
6
6
months is
months,
it's
6
not a
months.
fiscal year, and you're holding a town meeting before it's completed.
But how are you gonna explain to a taxpayer?
You would do it later, you would have that information available later, but it's not required for the June town meeting because you don't have a completed fiscal
So you
year.
have an audit report for 18 months when you did your, so,
I'm talking about town report.
right, the town report.
So if you have the meeting in January or March, you would have the audit and annual report. That would be for 2025.
Correct. That
Um,
part I understand.
yeah.
It's January 1st to June 30th. That,
I have the same question.
that there,
So
that
in
does not
June-
make sense to me.
In June 2026, okay, you're during that 6-month short period. The short year has not ended.
But it has, because you're starting a new fiscal year, July 1st.
Right, but if you're holding a meeting in June, it's not completed yet.
Not completed.
This is from MMA Legal.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
said it's not ended yet, so there's no annual report or audit requirement to have ready for June. The fiscal year is not complete,
No, not to July. to
right?
June.
So you're going by
Now it's
the,
making, now it's
so
making
you're
sense.
going by the last fiscal year completed, which would be 25. But
Right.
you're going to have that ready for your special town meeting to adopt that
So-
6-month budget.
June, it's getting confusing here, yeah.
I know.
So June, so
With-
June of 27. Well, our annual report, June of 27, technically we'll have 18 months.
You
worth of
could do,
data,
you could do it all, yes.
And you
for
could
that.
have,
But that's what confuses me too, because June of 27, you still haven't completed the year because your next budget won't start until July 1st.
So you would likely have the 6-month report
So
due.
that's what's confusing me through this.
Or
whole
you
thing.
have your
It's-
town
it-
meeting in July.
Why
you
would
can't
you?
because your fiscal year had already
That's
started.
where
Right.
it started.
Well,
Well,
we do that
But-
now. We do it now. We do it
We
3
do it
months
now,
after.
our
this
fiscal
week.
year starts January 1.
Most towns on a July 1, June 30 don't hold it in July, they hold it in
Hold it
June.
in June.
Yeah, like so.
Wait, aren't you over here?
So I agree, it is very confusing, but I think that we can avoid doubling up on audits in one budget
Oh,
cycle
yeah,
so
I-
that we're not expending those
Right,
extra.
that's the.
Yeah.
We
question I
want to
had.
get away from that, so I
Yeah.
think we're good.
Yeah,
And then I said to Rob, he said that I think it was Green, you and I were talking about it. Green did it recently and they held their special town meeting in January to adopt the 6-month budget. And I said, how were they able to have their audit and their town report for the prior year ready so quickly? He said they didn't. I said, what do you mean? You have to. And he said, no, they didn't have it.
So you can't, can't have.
Well, it's gonna be impossible
I
once
don't
we
see,
switch it because you're always gonna be having your town meeting in June. Your year doesn't even close until.
and I mean,
Right.
we're still
Yeah,
waiting
June.
for the 24 audit right now.
yeah.
Jen is still working on it because she's
I have an issue-
short-handed.
I have an issue with that, but that's.
She's still working on it though. She sent some additional stuff this week, some things she needed, and asked Mary and I.
So maybe, I think, quote me on it, if somebody can, I think Barrington's going through it right now too, correct?
No, they're already, July 1, June 30.
I thought they were just going through it now.
Dick Davis is the one who provided that timeline of
Okay.
information.
To me,
And Dick Davis isn't there anymore. He's retired now.
to me, it seems like we know we need to do this. I think we do it and then maybe we get a working committee. Either a special committee or the budget committee to
Budget
work with the
commission would do
select
it.
board to work out all the details so that we're not sitting here guessing.
Yeah.
We sit down, we figure out, and one piece that I would like to have us look at, whether it makes sense or not, is do we pay our bills, do we pay the tax bill twice a year?
Yeah.
And does that help us avoid a TAN?
Yeah.
And, you know, I know, in Portsmouth, I pay taxes twice a year.
A lot of places.
And so, but that's another piece, we're not gonna decide that tonight, that's a piece to look at and say, does this make sense? How do we transition it? What do we do? And
So Rob and I had talked about that as well, and I asked what his experience was, because he does work in multiple towns. With the fiscal year, July 1, June 30, most, if not all, do 2 bills a year. And we talked about what that would look like. If you held a special town meeting in January, we could have tax bills out and due in June, May, or June, maybe May. And then once you have the budget for the next year done, you would have bills due November of 26. So you have 2 6-month bills due in, right?
Right.
26, one in May, one in November.
right,
And then the following year, 2027, you would have the second half of the fiscal year due in May.
right,
So you're 6 months apart.
Right.
You're not paying 18 months in 1 year.
right,
You got a bill in 6 months, you got a bill in 6 months, you got a bill in 6 months.
Right,
right.
and
You're not paying
I
more.
would think that most people would welcome
being able to pay.
Well, I
twice a year.
think for a lot of people, it would be easier to have the opportunity to pay half at once versus all of it.
Right, I mean, you could always pay all of it if you want,
Yes,
there's no
certainly,
penalty for paying all of it.
certainly.
So the biggest thing is a lot of people's fear is the 18-month tax bill. So,
But there isn't.
right, but it's gonna take a lot of work, you know, of the board and the budget committee to draw up something, and, you know, you're gonna have to do newsletters or do mailings to, I think you probably should do a mailing to all your taxpayers to explain how this is gonna work and this and that, so when it comes up and things change, a taxpayer can't go, "Oh, I didn't know that." Well, yeah, you do, it was mailed to you. You know, it's on the website, it's in the newsletter, you know, you know, a lot of people voted on this, but a lot of people don't realize what the situations were. I mean, I've heard a lot of that since, you know,
A lot of people voted on it, but a lot of people didn't vote on it.
right.
You know, we only had, what,
Yeah, 400.
300, 400
400
Yeah.
people
out of
Which is-
2,000
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
voted.
out of 3,200.
Yeah. So-
You know,
But
so I
almost
just,
twice as much.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, good thing, I'm just saying it's gonna take a lot of work, and I'm not even sure you're gonna be able to get it accomplished by 2026, you may have to. Be able to.
No problem.
I think you can, because there is a blueprint for it.
There
for the
is.
towns,
Yeah,
but it's a matter of, I think the budget committee's gonna.
Well,
put together-
actually, I don't even think. You know, and I may be wrong, Mary may be able to answer this better than I can, but I thought Anthony had already kind of drew up one for the town of Belgrade already when he was town manager, so it may be already on file, I'm
You
not
know,
sure.
We've talked about this multiple times, so
Yeah.
it could be that Dennis, was when he was here,
Yeah.
pushed for it, I don't know how many times.
So it should be set, you know, Mary, like I said, Mary will answer it better than I can, but I think there should be. Something.
But it shouldn't be a lot different than these, if this is what they've been,
No,
most towns have been using, they should kind of coordinate with, almost follow this.
I have a question about the timeline. Two things. There's just a typo under fall of 2025, where in the parentheses it says to take us from January 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2026. It's not 18 months, it's just a 6-month period in the memo, where it says fall of 2025. So just to clarify that, but also, under March 2026, and presumably that would become January of 2026, right?
Yes, that's what Rob recommends.
If we follow what Rob suggests. But the very last one, prior to town meeting in March 2026, if that becomes January, the town manager and department heads put together a regular annual budget, which will be voted in June of 2026. But if we're moving that up to January, then we wouldn't have it before that January, we wouldn't have the next year's budget before the January.
Right.
So that just needs to be reworded.
I think the easiest part of this would be if we had the mindset that we were going to take the 2025 budget, cut it in half for 6 months. No county tax, no funding of reserves, nothing extra, just at bare bones, take that budget and put that forward for those 6 months, because keep in mind, every town meeting, you've got a warrant article that authorizes for the first 3 months or
That's
one
right.
quarter of the year
Right.
to spend the previous year's budget
Right.
until a budget is adopted. So you're already doing 3 months of that every year anyway. So that's pretty easy to do, so we could actually focus on the July 1, June 30 budget, and that's where we could put our effort like we normally do.
I mean, I think we get the only piece that I see that's seasonal is there. How do we pay our plow bills? October to May?
That doesn't
I
change.
think it is.
That
Well,
doesn't
no,
change
because
at all.
if you're taking half the year's
Oh, I see what
budget,
Carol's saying.
you're going to have more plow bills in the first half of the year. You'll have January, February, March, April, May,
Yeah,
which
like
is
you'd have to-
more than
yeah.
half. So you just adjust.
I-
it.
We have a schedule of
I
payments
think
and how much those are.
I think what will probably have to happen is, the budget committee would have to look at everything that's spent from this January 1st until
July-
June
to
30th. and take that amount and make
That
sure
amount
that's
to
the
do it.
amount
Right,
that's carried
right.
over.
Because you're not, remember, you're
So
not,
it takes your
you're not
seasonality
including
out of it.
county tax.
Right.
Because county taxes do the second half of the year,
Yeah.
Right.
that's not gonna be
Right.
included in that.
Yeah.
first
So what you're gonna have to
month.
do is you have to go into the.
Yeah, you have to look at your
Yeah.
seasonality.
January to what do we spend in this year,
Yeah,
and that's what we would put forward
Yeah.
next January
Yes.
to June.
Because
but
our
I
meeting
think
is
that's
more in that
pretty
time.
simple to do. If we,
Yeah, that would be,
if we subscribe to that mentality, that would be the bare bones budget. And then focus our attention on the July 1, June
Right.
30.
I think if we do it that route, we could probably succeed.
It would be much simpler if we did,
Right.
in my opinion.
Okay, so do we, oh,
And so that budget, starting July 1, would be voted on in June.
Yes,
right.
And so when would it be ready? I mean, we're saying now prior to town meeting in March 2026, but it would be prior.
I
I mean,
think
it
that-
would be, we shouldn't say prior to town meeting, we should just say something like,
well, this is just a memo for.
no,
for-
I know, but
Yeah.
I mean, it makes
But,
good sense.
for the full year budget, starting July 26th,
Right. That would
that's
be
when they have to
approved.
go back into the end of December,
Right.
1st of January, and you start working on that budget just like we do in the fall now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
We just change our timing.
Yeah,
Now, I got one foolish question and maybe somebody can answer it. Could we plan the town meeting? You know, because we do, special the elections the Friday before, or select boards, school board, and this and that. You plan it so that the school budget is voted on that same timeframe?
we probably could. It's usually June, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
June, but it's
second.
usually on a Tuesday. Laura.
Isn't it usually, Mary has her hand up, isn't it usually the second Tuesday in June, Mary? I think
Yes.
this year.
It usually is. No, I just wanted to make a point too that if we do the January town meeting, special town meeting, that I think that it would be so important to make sure that seeing that 60% or more of our tax base is paid by people who don't live here, that we send out letters individually addressed to those people, letting them know what's taking place, because most people, they're not paying attention. They're just not paying attention. And so I feel like if this is what we're going to do, then it's important to not just newsletters, not just, a bulk mailing, because a bulk mailing doesn't go out to those people that are paying 60% of our tax base.
We could also put an insert in this year's tax bill. Saying, by the way, we have voted to change our fiscal year, there will be changes coming, be aware. So we're beginning to alert people.
Very
Yeah.
good idea. That's a good
Yeah.
idea, because they're paying attention to their tax bill coming in the mail, Carol.
Yeah.
Yep.
good news, next year you only have to pay it.
6 months.
in
Pay us our
6
6
months.
months.
Yay.
Okay, so do we want a motion to change the fiscal year? Are we ready to vote on that tonight? And then just appoint a committee to work out all the rest of the details? Or do we want to wait and vote on it next week?
Well, right now, we don't have a full board. It'd be nice to have all 5 people.
Yeah.
vote on
Okay.
this.
All right,
But I mean, I would entertain a motion to ask the budget committee to start looking into this timeline as soon as they possibly can.
right.
Because that'll let us know too for the next meeting, whether what they feel, the rest of the
Right.
budget committee feels.
Do we want a motion for that? I move that we ask the budget committee to start looking at how we would do a transition to the change in fiscal year from July to June, and in specifically looking at a 6-month budget for next year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay,
If you pick a good date, that's gonna work for you and you'll email it out to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay.
Very good.
Doug, you seconded that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the facilities truck estimate.
Okay, Corey, you all had looked at the used truck at your last meeting, and you really wanted some more information, and you specifically wanted to know what a new vehicle would cost, so that you could see if the savings, was great enough to justify buying a used, the 2023 vehicle. So Corey did get estimates from two different dealerships, but you've also got a, not a Ford, but a Ram estimate there as well. So you can see, a couple of those are in the high 90,000s for something comparable, and then you've got one that's well over 100,000. All of those estimates are in your packet. Corey, you had some information about warranty. I tried to print it. I couldn't get it to print.
This paper right here
Okay.
has on it the exact same warranty, so it's 3 years, 36,000 mile, bumper to bumper, 5 years, 60,000 for the powertrain, 5-year, 60,000 road assistant, and 5-year, 100,000 on the engine. So that's a typical, that would be the same as on that 2023 truck.
Where did you read that from? Oh, I see it right
Warranty,
here.
yeah.
Yes, right here.
So the new one has the new warranty from the date we buy it.
A new one, yes. That used one, their warranty started on 6/23, I think. So a good chunk of it is still in effect.
Okay. Did you
23.
check and see how much an extended?
Right, the 7-year.
They told me that they weren't able as a, what is Charlie's, they're a Chevy dealership, they have no access to a Ford thing. The guy up in Bangor says we probably could work it out through Ford credit or whatever.
Well, it's a separate, it's not even a Ford thing, Shell should be able to do it, because,
I mean,
because it's Allison, it's,
Medium duty truck, Charlie doesn't do it.
I say, because O'Connor's does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, most places will offer some kind of.
It's, because all three of my trucks are 150,000, 7-year, 150,000.
Yours isn't medium duty,
What's that?
yours is medium duty.
True.
Yeah.
I think
so
it's a
medium
different,
duty
because I ran
changes
into
the
this
whole-
with mine. And I couldn't get anything extra with mine.
Yeah, changes the whole ballgame.
They shouldn't beat them up so much.
Why, just out from my curiosity, because I know that some of the other towns have had trouble with diesels because they idle too much. Why are we going with diesel?
That truck just happened to be on Facebook one day and I saw it.
I understand that one, but the new one,
Right, yeah.
I was just curious if you had a price, what it would cost for one that wasn't diesel.
I have not got a price. I mean, I certainly can if you'd like. I mean,
It's about 11 grand less for gas.
Yeah,
That's about the mat for all the brands. It's about what they,
11 grand, you said?
yeah, different than gas and
and
diesel.
I know, like I said, some of the towns have had trouble with diesels idling too much and it ends up gumming up the emissions and everything else, so.
Yeah.
What's your, I mean, you deal with the diesels.
I basically, when my truck idles a lot, but I hit the PTO button, so it idles up. And I've got 130,000 on mine and I haven't had any issues.
that's one of the things that Jeff Hall, the public works director from Oakland, he says, running the truck during the summer or running it around, it's not a problem. What they were having problems with is plowing. So it's that slow back and forth.
Right,
His guys always plowing second now to keep that same thing, idle that engine up a little bit. And they have not one problem with it.
well,
It's been running
it's
great.
the same thing running in the winter, I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
places never shut the truck off. They just start it up in the morning and it sits there and idles, even though they're
Mine does all
in the
day,
office.
all day.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I don't shut it off till I get home. It'll run 10 hours a day.
Oh, my God.
Bruce,
So is there any you know, because I know these new prices were, for 550s. Do we need a 550, you know, and I should have looked at this before tonight, but. So I could have asked Corey this question. Do we need 550s? I mean, I don't see, you know, I've been filing for many years. You know, I don't see why we need anything bigger than a 1 ton. You know, a 550 is a big truck.
550 is a big truck.
Yeah.
It's also got a lot bigger plow, which is gonna make plowing the transfer station a heck of a lot easier, because it's a 10'6" plow versus a 9'2". And I've had to have 2 people go back in behind me and clean out the snow, because I can't push it back over that bank. Because it just rides underneath the truck, so it's a little bit bigger truck, but the cost is really good versus what's coming down the road with these who knows what. So I saw it on Facebook. I've talked to several people. Doug, Jason Stevens, Hollowell Construction, they all have no problem with the diesel.
Do you have, does anybody that work for you have a class A?
No, but on that note, seeing as how I know it's been brought up many a times, we don't even qualify for the truck that we do, because our trailer is a 20,000 pound trailer, puts us over the 26,000 limit.
In a 3,500?
Yep,
It doesn't.
it's a 1,400 pound, I mean, a 14,000 pound truck. So that's 30 something.
It's a 14,000 pound trailer.
No, it's, the trailer is a 20,000 pound trailer. I looked at it today because I couldn't find it, and I went crawling around and finally found
So
it.
it's like a 10-ton pintle.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
20,000
Sounds like
pound
it might
trailer.
be.
So we've been running illegal all along regardless of the.
I had to go get mine for my truck,
Well,
so.
again, on the subject of that letter, I mean, Oakland Public Works has a couple people that they wanna get class A's for. And he said he would get us into theirs through the municipality when they do it with open fire, so.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think we're gonna have to end up getting it, but.
You don't need all that, you don't need air brake, you don't need any of that,
No,
you just
none
need,
of that.
you need bumper pull.
Yep.
And no air brake endorsement.
Yep.
Just class A.
Just a class A. I got my class B now, but that still doesn't cover it.
Right, that's what I had to switch from.
Corey, what are you recommending on the facilities trust?
Because of the plow and the body, and the price, I'm fine with the 23.
Is that this one?
That's the
This
used
one?
one.
Okay,
That's the one from Charlie's.
That's the one from Charles.
The used,
Used.
oh, okay, that's why
This one.
I've got too many here to know what which one you're
I think it's the
recommending.
very
It's-
first
And like I
one.
said, it's still under warranty.
Yeah, it's that very
So-
first,
Okay,
Charlie's at
okay.
the top.
So how much more,
That's what I was.
how much warranty is left on it?
Well, like I said, it was 6 of 23.
6
so
of 23,
So it's 3 of 36,000 on,
that's the bumper to bumper
That's
part.
bumper to bumper.
right,
The
so,
other is higher mileage.
6 of 23.
So powertrain is not what?
The
Powertrain.
engine is 5-year 100, the powertrain is 5-year 60.
And we got,
So we lost 2 years basically
Right.
off the engine and
yeah,
the powertrain.
end up bumping a bump, you only got 1 year left.
Right.
I don't know enough about it, I'll refer to you guys. I mean, this is, you're speaking a different language.
Beyond my pay grade.
and the good part about the body, the sides come down so we can actually load stuff on it. I mean, it's not a typical dump truck, so we can use it with skid steer to load stuff on the side of it. And
So is it the one from Charlie's state rack body or?
no, it's a regular dump body,
This
but
is
the
what I'm
sides,
talking about.
Combination.
yeah, it's a
This
combination.
is what he's.
The sides come down.
Yes.
I wish I couldn't find a picture of it, but.
As looking.
I think you had one last meeting.
Yeah, one
Did
was.
I?
Yeah,
And I didn't get.
So you just pull a lever and the sides
Yeah, flop down.
flop down.
Yeah.
We had one at the sheriff's office on that truck down there. We used it all the time.
but you can load the pallet forks too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Way easier.
Okay,
Is it a steel or aluminum?
Steel.
Steel.
Oh, it was good. Oh, send us the price.
I didn't even, because I was looking for comparables, so I went with Fords, because we have Fords up there already, and they've been doing really well for us.
Oh, I noticed that we had one here for rain, so.
The guy up there,
Looking at-
can I throw a ring?
I was looking at what they're-
Go ahead, I don't care.
We saw one last meeting.
Well, the other thing is, municipal. Well, usually one of the dealerships has a municipal discounts for trucks too, so that's the other thing, last time I knew, Connor said that.
Height, actually, the one that we got from Height was the municipal discount,
Yeah.
but I helped you contact him. Did you get that?
That's the last one you just gave us is.
Yeah, that,
That has a municipal discount on it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
He said he had worked with Belgrade before.
Yeah, we just got.
But we got the,
The-
fire department,
yeah.
that beautiful
Utility.
red truck,
Yeah.
Utility,
I
right?
love that. It's like the red.
You said heights?
yeah, it's not in there. They sent it this afternoon, like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do we have a deposit on one of these being held?
Yeah, out of my mouth to their ears, and that's about the extent of it.
Okay, gotta make sure.
Well, we had authorized one of them. as long as
Right,
we-
that's why I was like, so are we ready to make a decision tonight?
And just to throw something out there, future needs, who knows what we're gonna run into? And planning ahead, this is a better vehicle than something that's smaller. It can be outfitted for something else if we need it. So
Like what?
if you decide you need a bigger plow, this truck will take a plow. If you decide you wanna go with a commercial sander, this truck can take the body off, put a commercial sander on it. It's just thinking ahead instead of planning for now, instead of planning for the future.
Who's gonna be driving this truck?
Me, most of the time, probably.
And hopefully it's only gonna be plowing and not run, some of this side not running around the town.
No. I mean, if we're digging in the cemetery, we need an extra truck. I mean, right now, we've got 2 tractors and a trailer that we're not supposed to be hauling. And we have to pull the sander out of the truck. Hitch the trailer up. Move our tractor. And then put the sander back in, whereas if we had an extra dump truck, we could haul. The equipment, use the truck with the, to haul snow, instead of me having Jason Stevens like I did last year. Move snow, I can move myself without taking the sander out and stuff like that. So,
The other thing I'd like to start seeing though is if we're gonna end up with another truck like this fleet seems to be getting bigger. I really would like to see our road commissioner start using some of our trucks if they're
Right.
available, rather than using his trucks and billing us for his trucks.
Cause you heard that, you hear that, all the time.
So,
Okay, so,
I'm gonna let you finish this and I'm gonna just say something and get a direction from you guys.
I know very little about diesel trucks and stuff, so. What do you think, Doug?
The Ford diesel's been pretty good. They're harder to work on if something does break, but they've got a pretty good reputation.
so are you comfortable with this one?
Oh, just one other question.
You're done.
Where's the closest place to take this truck to get work done?
Oh, I mean, Ford, Northland,
They're doing medium duty trucks?
Yeah.
Cause we had that question.
or
last night.
Heights. I don't care. Heights is good.
Yeah, lights can do it.
We had this question last night, so I wanted to get it answered.
Would work on a hollow?
They probably do, yeah.
And Height actually knew we were getting that comp, because we had already sent them that used one, and he's like, whatever you decide, like, I've worked with Belgrade before, so I'll work on that truck, even if you buy the used one, so.
It probably makes sense to get it undercoated too.
Yeah, you're buying used, yeah, it's most definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't have that many miles on it, so like, it's gonna be pretty good shape right now, so let's keep it in good shape.
Just, my biggest fear is I just don't want it, as a taxpayer, seeing it. Driving around every day, use or run into Augusta to pick up a, I can't say paper, I know you got the Ford, but I'm
They've
just
got
saying.
this little Ford Ranger that.
I know. But, that's a, I just talking from, I hear stuff. Back and forth, and that's,
You could get help for that,
But, that's the biggest thing, because it's a big truck. And
Yeah, it is, it's an awful lot of trouble.
so that's my biggest thing, is it just, as long as,
25%.
it's gonna be used sensible and I trust the crew, but I'm just saying, and I'm just getting it out there that, there is 3,200 people who pay taxes in this town, so they're the ones that see it.
Okay, I'm looking at the sheet of the facilities truck account. And the total with what was just approved at town meeting is 97,223. So 97,200 for the new one would wipe out that account. So if we go with the 74,000 one, which gives us some extra money in that account, can that go towards maintenance? What else could that, if this is the reserve fund for the truck, what can it be? What can that savings be used for?
They can use it to undergo, right?
Yeah.
Certainly could, yeah.
I mean, at 6,700 miles, it shouldn't need that much, but undercoating, rust proofing stuff to.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Yeah, you
that,
said there's a few surface rust spots that probably should be addressed.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually in better shape than the body that I just had fixed. So,
okay.
I'm okay, if you're okay, I mean, I just. As long as the body's in good shape. I mean,
body's in excellent shape. It's not even a dent.
Yeah,
Well, you can fix that.
Exactly.
Okay, I move that we approve the purchase of the 2023 F-550 at Charlie's.
Second,
all those in favor? How about a motion that have it decoded?
I move we have the truck undercoated.
Second.
And yeah, if there's anything that needs to be fixed.
The spot rust at least.
The original owner has a set of tires, studded snow tires and rims that he held on to, but he has no truck to fix them. I mean, to fit. He's willing to sell them to me. Because I was originally talking to a private owner of this, but he didn't want to wait. I guess Charlie's had a vehicle that he could trade, so.
How much though?
He said he paid 3,500 for them. He would sell them the truck, the tires and rims for 2,500. I don't know if that's good or not.
It's 30s, 30s.
I bet we probably could get them cheaper.
You say tires are about $300 a piece.
Yeah, they're 14.19.5s. Those are
Yeah,
good.
they're 14.5,
And I'm assuming they're steel wheels,
yes.
so there's 6 of those. And the tread's loosened on them.
Yeah.
So we want to amend the motion to include tires and anything else that to make it more broad than just the underclass.
We could do tires another meeting, right?
Rims got a little surface rust on them, but
Looks like a Transforce. What did you say, 2,500?
he paid 3,600 for the whole thing and would sell them for 2,500.
They've been due $2,000.
I was gonna say, see if you
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
Rust proofing should be what, 1,000?
Yeah, you only got 2 doors to do,
Yeah.
the inner fenders,
That's
and
what it's for.
then you gotta do the underside of the body and then you have a lot of cross members, so I would plan probably 1,400.
So, 2, 3, 4. $5,000 for.
Get that done.
Barry's got a hand up.
There,
Alright.
I just wanted to, on Barbara's motion, she should motion it with the, funds to come out of the, facility, reserve account. And if the undercoating's coming out of that as well, and the purchase of these tires. One other question that I have is that, does this truck need to be painted? Because it does have another name on it.
No, the name's all off it.
Just gonna have to letter it.
That was just lettering,
Okay.
pretty green, but.
Okay, I amend my motion. Should we go back and, oh wait, we have another motion on the floor for that.
Well,
We have
No, we have just
Carol
the
to
undercoat.
undercoat and Dougie
this will
seconded,
be,
but we didn't.
this will
take
be
a vote.
one motion if she does that, to pull it all out of each account with that.
Just to mention, go back and amend.
We haven't voted.
Okay.
We haven't voted. All right, so I'm amending my motion to have it undercoated and purchase up the tires to not exceed $5,000.
To come from,
To come from the capital reserve.
And possibly any little spot rest to fix it while it's there,
I agree with that.
Yeah, but capital reserve, not to exceed $5,000.
Right. Okay,
facilities truck capital reserve, to be precise.
Yes.
okay.
You're still
Who's
second.
second again?
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor? Okay,
okay.
Okay, so then we go back and amend my we have to go back and amend my motion, or do we make?
yours was to purchase the truck.
Sure.
Oh, you did the purchase of the truck.
No, mine was for undercoating
Undercoat,
tires.
yeah.
So I think we gotta cover the truck in the investments.
Yeah, I think
We're
you're good too.
I think we're all, I think we got everything covered. What was your motion, Barbara?
And Mary said I didn't
Approve the
specify the
purchase of
truck, the facilities truck reserve account. In mine, that it had to, the
No.
motion,
Oh, okay.
the
It
motion
ju-
should.
You wanna
Right,
go
it
back?
just should be clear to the general public that where that money's coming from.
The facilities reserve.
Well,
Okay, well, I can amend, let's amend the motion in that way, shall
we've
we?
already voted on it.
We've already
Yeah,
voted it.
so change it, so amend it.
Okay, so I amend my motion to include the fact that the funding will come from, the purchase price will come from the facilities truck reserve fund. Capital reserve fund.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Okay. There we go.
We okay now, Mary? Okay,
Okay,
moving right along.
Yeah.
I'm starting
If any of this stuff out of the way. Come move to the next thing. All right, hey, we get a new business.
woo-hoo.
Committee appointments and resignations.
We have people around, we don't, do we?
These are all real.
Oh, reappointment. Except for Robin Spencer. So should we postpone Robin Spencer till she can be here, where she's a new appointment?
Yeah, she was notified. She said she'd be in attendance, but I don't see her there.
I move we table Robin
Oh,
Spencer.
no, so excuse me, Lorna, remember I told you she teaches a class every
And
Tuesday evening,
She's teaching
correct?
caning chairs. So she does that on Tuesday evenings at 6 or 6:30, so she could not be here because she's teaching this class. That's right, we talked about that.
Yes.
So can we give a special dispensation that she does not have to appear before?
The,
Select board or how?
the trustees have recommended her.
Okay.
So approved her application.
Okay, so we can approve her because she has conflict. Then I move we approve Robin Spencer to the library, to become a library trustee.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
We do have a question because my agenda didn't have the candidate. For some reason, the candidate was stuck in before.
Oh, you didn't have a new agenda?
No,
That's my error.
okay,
Yes, you do have the,
okay. So,
yeah, I think
we have
that's after.
reappointments we need to do.
Tannis.
right, right, it's next now, but
Yeah.
it was backwards in the
Yeah.
thing. so
Yeah.
You got
sorry.
inserted in the wrong.
I got it in the wrong order, so we gotta do that, so. All right, so. We have reappointment of Sarah Langat, Budget Committee.
We have George.
There is still planning board?
Yeah, if you look at your list
So
here.
I was going in the way the book, reading the way the book writes.
You want to read off that?
Yeah. All right, so. Okay. George Seal for Planning Board reappointment.
So moved.
Oh, I
Are
mean,
we doing them individually?
We want them individually or together?
all at once.
Okay. I'll read them all at once. All right, so we have George Seal Planning Board, Sarah Langat Planning Board. John Hall Budget Committee. Richard Bourne, Board of Appeals. Stuart McConnell, Library Trustee. Peter Sargent, Planning Board.
Second.
And I do have a question before we do this, because my stuff for Sarah says Budget Committee, not Planning Board.
Oh,
We
that's
wire
the
committee.
thing.
Oh, that's me. I apologize.
Okay.
So
Budget.
it is budget,
Budget, not planning.
okay,
It's budget.
all right,
I still second your motion.
okay. All those in favor? Or nothing,
Thank you.
Okay.
yeah, we can do
Now we do
The
the
tan.
tan.
which is. There we go.
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you. All right, so. Lorna, Tina.
I don't even have it in my book. I gave everybody else a copy except me.
Here, you want, to take that one from us?
Sure. So we had four,
Oh, cool.
1, 2, 3, 4, we actually had 5. Coming in. The lowest would be Camden National Bank at 5.08%. Skowhegan was the next at 5.20%. We're saving 5.3%. Northeast Bank, 5.95%, and then Androscoggin actually gave two options. The regular rate to us would be 5.99. But if we moved all of our accounts over to them, they would give us a better rate at 5.59. Which is still higher than Camden at 5.08. So my recommendation to the board would be to award the TAN to Camden at 5.08%.
I move we award the tan to Camden National Bank at a rate of 5.08%.
Good. Moved and seconded, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Oh, here's pre-K.
Yeah, we did pre-K earlier.
Yeah,
What we want, actually, I'm thinking you had another comment you wanted to make at the end of the truck thing.
I'll throw it in my
Okay.
next little thing.
Okay.
It wasn't really a comment,
Because you're.
it's direction.
Okay, facilities updates.
Facility updates. Okay, so let's start with a question. How do we, Warner talked to me today about, sweeping intersections.
Oh, yes, because I saw
And
Jason.
Jason
today.
using our equipment, or is the thought by you guys for us to do that? Intersections and save the bill of him charging us for equipment, because I know we've mentioned it in the past.
Mhm.
What,
He-
sweeping the sand out of intersections?
Yeah.
Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
because we have the skid steer with a sweeper. So when I saw Jason today, he did mention it that once the storms were pretty much cleared up, so another week or two. That he would be focusing on getting that done. It was the time of year that he normally does it, and he did say that last year, it did come up.
Yeah.
About using the skid steer and the sweeper to do it, because the town owns those. So I told him I'd speak with Kenny and Corey, and Corey and I spoke this afternoon, and so it would be good to have some direction from the board. Do you want Jason to go ahead and do it? Or do you want him to use our equipment, or do you prefer Corey and his crew do it with our equipment?
What, do you guys have to use flaggers?
You would have
We
to.
would have to.
Well, we have
Oh, we have
staff, so
enough
you
people.
could, yeah, you have enough people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jason would have to have 1 or 2 flags.
Right, yeah, they have to be certified too.
Okay.
You have to go to a class and do the whole,
Oh,
And the,
yeah.
and the thing is, I think because Jason is the road commissioner, he has the authority to decide who's doing the roads. Because it's part of road maintenance.
Well, it's actually, Lorna has a decision because he's appointed by Lorna, I think.
Yeah.
All he is just a road commissioner. Lorna, I think Lorna has the decision who does the work.
Yeah, the only one I don't appoint is the assessor.
Yeah.
The board appoints the assessor.
He just, cause when this was all done, I was the one that changed it from elected to.
Right, but I still thought the commissioner had.
No. Because he's hired by the town. That's how I understand it was when we did that.
If we need flaggers who are certified, then it does not make any sense for us to send Corey and his crew out and risk their safety.
Well, no, they'd have to
Right.
hire, they'd have to hire flaggers.
Right, so what
I
really,
think-
what are you saving?
I think in the long run, you're better off having Jason do it,
Agreed.
but I mean,
How do you do it?
if our equipment is available. And it's not being used somewhere else, if it can save us some money, I'd rather have them use, that's why we got the brush and everything
Right,
else.
right. I remember you all talking about it.
Well, we're purchasing another truck. This is the whole reason, we just said that, we just spent another,
well, maybe going forward, you guys can look at getting certified, but maybe at this moment, liability wise, it makes sense to skip this year.
if they do have one employee that is, Wesley is certified, he gets a certification every year, at mandatory training, so.
Certainly something we can look forward, into
Right.
and going forward.
Just hate to see somebody get hurt and then we'd be back
Then we have a
on,
problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if at that point, if we got the flaggers and everything else and if you guys are slow and need something to do.
And this is the whole time of year, so.
Just be aware, if Jason doesn't do the flagging himself, he hires
He
it
has to
out.
hire it out, just like we'd have to hire it out. when
Yeah.
it gets
So,
certified.
so just keep that in mind when you guys are thinking about this, that he's hiring out to.
Oh, he's gonna itemize it on his bill to us too.
Yes,
Yeah.
So we do have the equipment, I'm waiting for Jordan equipment to come up and make my skid steer actually move. But other than that, we have the skid steer, Kenny's got the sweepers. It's just something we gotta keep in mind, if we're gonna do this, we need to plan on the expense of replacing the brush on the sweeper, because it's gonna get worn out, so. It, just something we need to plan for, that's all.
Well, maybe we have Jason do it this year and you put that in your budget for next
For
year.
next year. Yeah.
Along with the cost for training and
that'll have to
getting
go in
2 or
that
3,
6
got a
month
couple guys
budget,
in the
Right, but I
pipeline.
still-
because you'd be doing it then.
Right. I would still be using our equipment, because I think Kenny has to replace the broom, because we end up replacing that broom once a year anyways. The broom part of it, that's transfer station, so I'm pretty sure Kenny has that in his budget, don't quote me on that 100%,
Well, I
but,
certainly can check on that tomorrow.
yeah. But even though, what that broom cost to replace, I think,
It's still
we've
saving
been-
It
us money.
still saves
Still
us.
saves
to
us
say
money.
that, it'd be cheaper for us to use our equipment than it is to use their truck, their.
Right.
skid
So
steer.
do we get billed for his truck
Yes.
hours and?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, they're supposed to be billing at state rate,
he does.
but,
If you
it's
compare.
still a bill.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Certainly something we can work towards. Save us money, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
cause I mean, when
Make
he
a
goes,
game plan for next
when he
year.
has to go pick up wood that's cut up, or, that's, the tree falls down, he picks it up. It would build for his truck, and whereas we got a truck that's available, you use our truck, throw it in, you only dump it at the transfer station.
So you wanna have Jason do it, hire whatever he needs for flagger or flaggers, but use our truck, our,
Use
skid
what's
steer,
equipment that's available, yeah.
the brush or
Right.
sweeper.
Yeah, just has to be coordinated with,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, the rest of the facilities, because, you know, transfer station
Yeah.
needs a skid steer or something for the day, obviously.
Well, we got two over, the other one we fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should be a minor
Okay.
thing. Just, I
It
think
would be
it's
nice to start using our equipment.
it's got a
Agreed.
safety switch that's bad, I think. Okay, so that solves that. I've never done one of these facilities, I mean, these reports, we've been working down in the center for all seasons this winter. Sanding and painting, somebody's got me on a short leash down there.
That's what they hired me to do.
I've been fixing in the gym where the code base all came apart, a lot more to do in there eventually, but. To make it look good now, we've cleaned up a bunch of brush this winter before we got the heavy snow. Been rearranging the garage to make it more usable, more user friendly. Oh, man. What else? I had a whole list and I left it sitting on my table at home. So much for a list. Going forward, we've got, the monument people are coming to fix the monuments over in Woodside that fell down over the last couple of years. Kevin's going to start probing and entering stuff into the Sims as soon as the ground's thawed again. I think we already have 6 or 8 burials scheduled for the spring already.
Corey, are most of those, cremations versus full casket?
Most of them, I think 1 or 2 of them is full.
Just curious.
Yes, oh, that's right, Kevin has been studying over the winter, he should be testing soon for his pesticide
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
So we can do that instead of, paying. 'cause it's
paying a lot of money
expensive.
for, yeah.
Yeah, North Belgrade, we've fixed the ramp, we've, got the doghouse over 1 set of doors so far, we gotta do another one. The what?
The flooding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to address flooding up to North Belgrade at some point soon, because it was bad this year, really bad.
Just a bunch of EMT equipment, yeah.
Yeah.
Flooding in the basement, you mean?
Yeah, we're pretty sure we know what the problem is.
I think I sent those.
There's either a
photos out
pipe
too.
crushed or
Yeah,
it was frozen over the winter or something, I don't know what it was.
Man alive.
you need a French drain around there.
There is one, but it needs to be cleaned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think we need to put a sub pump in for emergency backup.
So when the Historical Society starts storing stuff over there, are they going to put down pallets?
They're gonna put down pallets, but they're also planning on shelving, so
Okay,
we'll keep them off the bottom shelf.
Okay. We had what,
Yeah.
8 inches in there?
Yeah, there was probably 8
I know
inches
there
of
was,
water in there,
yeah.
so. Totes were starting to float, and yeah, it
yeah,
was a mess. So yeah, we're gonna work on the cemetery with stuff like that. I'm planning on, before it gets too dry, I'm gonna rent a stump grinder. There's stumps all over the town that we're still mowing around and weed whacking around that is just a time killer for absolutely no reason at all. So we're gonna take care of that.
Is that, back to North Belgrade, is that, monitored, like heat and stuff? Security?
No.
Smoke seal, and no heat.
Think so?
There's a light, and,
Okay.
I don't
It's just
think that way.
security, isn't it? It's not,
Yeah, it's just security.
You couldn't do a
The thing-
sensor on the
Yeah,
floor?
yes, you could, it's with security, they could put. a
We should
wall
be able to
down
add
the basement.
something like that.
Might not be a bad idea where people aren't in it all the time.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just a
Good
little,
idea.
little device that.
Yeah.
Once it hits it, it sends a signal, close the
Especially
circuit,
for
and sends a
historical
signal.
societies.
Right.
It'd be cheap to generate.
It's easy to program. for the
I will
program.
check into that then, because that would be
That my wife had to do it, my wife had to do it at her office when they had that major
Yeah, I
flood.
remember that.
Yeah, quite a few years ago now, I went in to clean the office one day and opened up the door on a Sunday and water came running out.
Oh,
And it flooded the whole building, water heater burst and just ran,
Big building too.
big building, these guys had to come in and redo it.
And cut the sheet rock up.
Electric out the trails.
Yeah.
But what they did is they put in the pan under the water tank now,
Yeah.
and they put in the water bug. And if the thing starts leaking,
You know immediately.
and a lot of times you can even, on one of those, you can put it into an electric valve above it, that it opens, senses it, it shuts the water off. But yes, they should be able to put it up, just like a freeze alarm or anything else that you put on a security
Sump pump
panel.
fail alarm, if that were to fail, you'd know it.
So, yes, we should check it, especially,
Check with that tomorrow.
especially if we're gonna be adding stuff there for the historical society.
There's quite a few brush and stuff that we gotta clean up from over the winter. I know there's some trees down here at the end of the driveway that's gotta be cut and cleaned up.
Are you renting a stump grinding head? For like the skid steer or?
I was just gonna rent the stuff around there. Comes on a trailer.
Yep.
No, because of where I'm doing it, I don't think I should do it on the skid steer. Because it would,
Little tight.
yeah, well, a little tight, and it's also caused more damage with the tires than it would be worth.
No,
And what about the ball fields? Are they,
All fields were getting estimates for changing out the backstop fence, because the fence itself has curled from all of the years of use. And the whole bottom line has got a razor sharp line of prongs sticking out, so we'll get a price for that. I've talked to Oakland, RSU 18, and if we need some infield mix, they're gonna order it for me, and we can get it for their cost, or like last time, I got it for nothing, so we'll do some infield work on it. Bruce is gonna give me a price on adding water to the snack shack that they've requested. Hans said the only thing we would need would be a gray water drain, which is a single pipe comes out underneath the building, so there won't be any expense for that hardly. So just stuff we're gonna be checking into and doing.
Look like some of the conduits were broken on the poles too.
Yeah.
They're taped,
Mike is
back
going
on
to-
duct tape.
Mike is trying to work out a deal with somebody he's gonna do some work for, that's got a bucket truck.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is.
Luke Bean.
Oh, perfect, yeah,
That he's gonna come over and fix that conduit, because it is pulling wires out,
yeah.
so. That's about it in a nutshell.
Sounds like you're keeping busy.
Oh, yes.
Word.
okay,
Next thing is cemeteries, side by side estimates.
So as you know, they used the golf cart from Cape West, last year. And during the budget process, had discussed getting a side by side for use, mostly in the cemetery. So Corey did get 4 different estimates. One from Manchester Motors, $25,266, and all of these are in your packet. United Ag and Turf, a John Deere Gator, $32,118. Bobcat UV 34 diesel M1501, and that's $27,901.05. And then MB tractor and equipment, we purchased from them previously, I think.
Many times.
RTVX 1100 Kubota that has a storage rack, $25,378.07. The cemetery committee has reviewed and discussed all of these estimates, in side by sides with both Corey and Kevin. At a meeting, and they do, recommend the Kubota RTVX 1100. Would be their recommendation to the select board to consider. And we do have those funds in the reserve account.
That was my
Yeah,
question.
with the addition of what was voted upon at town meeting.
Yeah, we used that golf cart for 2 years, but it's really getting tired of hauling everything that we were hauling with it.
Right,
And I've already put enough money in it. And I know you guys told me no more using it without services, without an agreement with K-West. And an agreement with them is just not worth it, so. Here we are.
Have you been happy with MB Tractor Service?
Yeah, they've been great. Yeah. That's where Kenny's Kubota came from. His skid steer came from. Lawnmower, yeah, I've got lawnmowers up from them. Yeah, they do a good job.
They're putting quite a service center in out on the main road
Yeah,
where the
they
old, is it Wicks Lumber, Bruce?
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
redone that. It looks like it's gonna be quite an operation there.
Yeah.
I move we approve the purchase of an MB tractor and equipment. RTVX 1100 Kubota with a storage rack. At the price of $25,378.07 to come out of the cemetery reserve account.
Second,
Any other discussion? Yep, all those in favor?
Oh, then
Yep, so they dropped that off to the office, so I made a copy and put that in your board packet. You have the signature pages to sign in your document sign folder there. It's just the standard agreement, nothing has changed. And it's for $1 every, so, yeah.
Pages.
I move we approve the Friends of Belgrade Public Library annual lease agreement at the cost of $1. Second.
All those in favor? Corey, all I'm thinking of, have you come up with a fair estimate on mowing and stuff that we talked about?
We're working on it.
Okay.
We've started the list for the year of plowing so far, and we'll do it. And have it ready for fall with the mowing portion of it, so.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next item is warrants. We have a payroll warrant, $25,507.17.
And move we pay that.
second,
Discussion, all those in favor?
Okay.
Next warrant is BMV warrants.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Guys have a good night.
you do.
Easy meeting tonight, Phil.
8,200,
Oh,
oh,
I have an extra number.
$8,253.17.
Second. Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Just otherwise,
I'll read them as the motions.
okay.
All those in favor? Oh, nothing. AP warrant 31, $120,329.28.
Second.
Any discussion on that warrant? All those in favor? Or nothing. Payroll warrant 32, $23,196.33.
Second.
Discussion on that one. Seeing none, all those in favor? Or nothing? State payable warrant 33,
So that's got your B and B and it's got month end, like inland fisheries, Moses, all of
I was
those.
gonna say,
Okay,
The state
it's an odd,
State payables.
Yeah.
So at month end,
Yeah,
okay, $8,938.83.
second,
Question on that one? No, all those in favor? All in favor? Any additional ones that we don't know of?
no, that was it.
AP forms. Do you have any questions on it?
they look good on my phone.
All right, town manager report.
So the new fire station application has made it through the first of two reviews with the planning board, so that would be the building application. The next meeting will be Thursday, April 3, so this Thursday at 6 p.m. I know the planning board did comment that it was a very well put together application pack. I think they had a few questions, but Joe from Sightlines, who's really good at this, has done everything to answer and address each of
Between
those.
Joe and Colin.
Yeah. We have RFPs for the sand and salt shed roof, the Dalton demolition and trail work at the Center for All Seasons. Almost ready to go out this week. I have a couple of things to finish up. I should have them out either late Thursday or early Friday, get those posted. We have submitted usage amounts to RSU 18 to be included in fuel bids. I see that that came through this afternoon. Abby Violet sent it. So I have sent a request out to our vendor that we have been using right along and have asked them to get me pricing for the next year for the products that we use. So I'll bring all of those bids to you and so you all can review them and make a decision. With so many new seasonal opportunities for businesses popping up, i.e. Food trucks, vendors, etc. Now is a great time to review and discuss some ideas with permitting and licensing. Maine Municipal actually puts out a whole packet for towns. Business licenses, vendor licensing, food truck licensing, that sort of thing. And Mary has done some research on this and we would like to include this or will include it in an upcoming agenda for the board's consideration. It'll be the same time that we put forth that list that Hans updated the permit fees.
Question, if somebody has and I don't know the answer to this, if you're a food truck and you're a Tex-Mex food truck and out of Farmington and you have a Farmington license, do you also need a separate license for Belgrade
You
or
would
does
get-
that one carry forward?
You would get an annual license for here, but if the town had it set up that way, your license through the state covers you throughout the state.
Throughout the state,
But
okay,
many municipalities do charge a fee.
do try
for a
to charge
license.
it, okay,
Oh, yeah.
all right,
I used to do catering and food truck and I always had to go to the town.
the town to get one, okay.
Yes. Pre-K, we've discussed this, but the pre-K registration is open for Belgrade Central School. The deadline to apply is April 14, really quickly. It is important to get children registered to ensure the program stays in Belgrade. So we've scanned that flyer that's in your packet. We've been putting that out on Facebook. I try to share it once a day to keep it relevant and have people share it from there. Property tax assistant applications, I got those all prepared. Those are out. We've been promoting through Facebook, our website, the talking sign. We have some printed copies here in the lobby, and I know I've heard Mary and Ian and Joanne ask older folks when they come in if they would like to take an application and fill it out. We've helped some fill it out. We have received some back. So people are applying for that. Yeah, you had a question. Did you have? a
This is the
question?
one where they have to apply to the state and then they come to
Yes,
us.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So this document, when I add it into our minutes, you'll be able to link to the application and the ordinance right from this document. We also, and I said we already had copies in here for pickup. I think it will need another year or two to get some traction so people know what it is. But I'm very pleased we've got 4 or 5 applications already that qualify, so it's good to
Just
be able to help.
one thing on that,
Yeah.
that's something we'll have to think about on this fiscal year thing, how we're gonna,
Yeah.
handle that too.
Yeah, they don't get paid out until the latest September 1, so it could be budgeted for the 12-month budget and not the 6-month.
Yeah, but it's just something we got, something
Yeah.
else to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
Yes, yep. I attended a meeting with Board of Parks and Rec and representatives from K-WISP on field usage guidelines and needs for the field this year. So we met with Kayla and Mimi, Corey, myself, Kristen, and Jamie Dion. Had a meeting, a really good meeting. We're working on a new agreement. There is no agreement in place with K-WISP. I think we had discussed that previously. I think the last agreement was signed 2017-18 maybe. So we're working on a new agreement with input from K-WISP to bring to the select board for review and consideration. We were notified late Friday that the congressionally directed spending portal has been opened. So a first draft of the new grant application for fiscal year 26 for the new fire station has been sent out to the building committee members for their review. The deadline to apply is April 14. In addition, Senator King's office sent notification yesterday with an open portal and deadline of April 15. So if we choose to apply for the Collins portal, that's basically done. There are a few edits that need to be done to the application, but I basically pulled everything from 24 and plugged it in. And there were a few things they asked in 24 that they didn't ask this time around, but for the most part, the sequence of questions were exactly the same. So that was pretty easy. I haven't looked at the King portal, but I'm guessing it's probably the same format that we did for them, so that may be really quick and easy to do as well, and we would be able to meet those deadlines. Still on the radar, our 4-day work week review. A water trustee, we may not need that, of course. Short-term rental ad hoc committee, ARPA expenditures, that portal should be open now. I also got our PFML, the first quarterly report. I got all those figures and names done today, so I'll get those submitted maybe this week. Because they're due by the end of this month. The CDS grant for the new fire station, Center for All Seasons updates, plan and funding. I believe the committee meets tomorrow afternoon. The employee handbook, and then of course, review policies.
We heard from the county yet? On fact, what the budget's gonna be. I know last year we heard great.
No, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything from them yet, and of course, we don't know anything about the school budget yet. The 6-month budget next year, we'll already know what our school budget payment is for those 6 months, because that won't change until July 1. We won't include the county because that will not be due until the second half. So that will help.
And you said that the auditor came back and asked some more questions today.
Yes.
How are we looking on that audit report?
She came back with a few questions on some of the department budgets, what was spent, what wasn't spent, and then she had a letter that had to go to our legal, counsel, standard letter that gets sent every year. That I just needed to put on letterhead, sign and send it back to her, so I would assume she's if she's doing these little things that she should be close to wrapping up.
I hate this thing dragging out as long as it has.
Well, I mean, I realize that they're short-handed, but, I mean, what does the contract, we have a contract, correct?
Yeah, but there's no time frame.
No time
I mean, there's nothing that says you have to have this done by whatever date.
Hopefully next year will be a little easier, because you'll have hopefully a treasurer a year,
Yeah.
almost a year into
Yeah,
it, so.
Kenny started this week and, I'm so thankful. I'm still spending quite a bit of time because, it's important for her, for someone, Mary and I are tag teaming on this, but it's important that we spend time with her
Mhm.
to explain and show in the
Right.
process. She's never done municipal. She knows all about budgeting and journal entries and credit debit, all of that, reserve accounts, bank accounts. She's good to go, but she's never used Trio. She's doing pretty good though already, second day, and just learning what the accounts are and what her process is each day. What do I need to do each day, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think that we'll be very pleased.
That's good. Anybody have anything else? Nope.
There was something I wanted to bring up, business, but now it's escaped me.
I had something I can't remember either.
Never mind, I don't know what it was.
Motion to
I
adjourn.
move we adjourn at 8:56.
Second.
All those in favor? 3, 4.
All right,
Just gotta finish signing all our paperwork and.
yeah, there's